watching this video, and without further ado, let's just hop into it. So if you haven't seen it already, I released a song by Sarah Bareilles originally called Gravity. We re-recorded it, and I had the singer be my wife, Anna Rice, and she did a fantastic job. And you can go ahead and check that out and everything like that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the voicings that I used and some of the arrangement aspect as far as what was going on with the piano and a little bit with the strings. So why don't we go ahead and hop into it. So I looked up the score for Sarah Bareilles' stuff and what she did in the original. And what I found is she has a nice soothing and complex way of voicing her music. Meaning there's a lot of tension and release with suspensions that she uses. And they're very thin. And I really appreciated how she did that, right? You know, chords kind of like this, right? Which is, they interpret this as a D7 with an 11, or you could call this C sus2 over D, right? A lot of voicings kind of like this and like this. You know, they're very mellow and thin and really use the middle of the piano. So a nice, very warm sound, right? So I really appreciated that, and I wanted to bring that out of my arrangement, but also add in my own style of piano. So my own style of piano, I feel like, should be more wide on the piano. And maybe not like up here so much, but like using more low end to really enhance some of these chords. You know. Right, so that was really where I came from this arrangement aspect, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about some of the chords. So a lot of you are gonna be familiar with this first chord progression. It's really the cadence that kind of drives out through the entire song, and it's this. You know? Too long, no matter what I say or do, I still feel you're here till the moment I'm gone. Right? That is one of the most essential cadences throughout the entire song. And so let's talk about what this chord is. There's two different ways I think of this chord. You can either call it a C major 7 in second inversion over E, or you can interpret it as E minor with a 6. Either way is appropriate, and I actually interpret it multiple different ways functionally throughout the piece. Okay? And then this resolves to F major 7 in root position. So F, A, C, E. So we have, is really what's going on throughout most of this piece, right? And that's that movement. So a couple things that I did to enhance this is sometimes I would quote the original chords, but I would put the root lower to add more low end of the piano, right? Because I feel like it needs that extra thickness, especially in this song, right? And sometimes I would quote the original, sometimes I play it down there. But I also wanted to extend this F chord a little bit, because for me, playing something in root position, specifically like this in the right hand, I feel like you're missing out on some other voices that you could be using. So something that I would do is I added the 9 to this F chord, right? And then my brain was like, all right, how can I enhance this movement from the original chord? Because you have which is nice movement, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to keep the G on top. So what I did is instead of playing this like this, playing in the C minor 7 voicing here, right? I decided that I wanted to do a 3 sharp 5 7 sharp 9 and E. Right? And this is the cadence you'll hear me do. So I actually quote this in the beginning. I'll go strings, then, and this G sharp being a borrowed chord out of the original really adds some beautiful movement. So that was one of the ways I really enhanced this, right? And I really wanted to take some chords kind of out of C major, which is just the white keys, and really add some movement to this song. The next thing I kind of really did to enhance this was instead of sticking with so much more thin voices, no matter what I say or do, I still feel you're here till the moment I'm gone. That's a very Sarah Bareilles way to play that, right? Well, what I did is, again, I put this down here, and in the right hand, I was playing more extensions of the chord. So instead of playing D, you know, like this, with really only having the 7 and the 3rd in there, I really added the 3, 5, 7, and the 9 in my voicings. No matter what I say or do, I still feel you're here till the moment I'm gone. And that's really a lot of the movement you hear in this song, especially in my arrangements. And then, you know, there's a couple other things, right? And the main thing is just adding those extra voices, adding the 7, adding the 9, adding the 11, right? Extending the chord throughout the piano is really how I tried to make this my own. Another good example is set me free, leave me be. I don't want to fall another moment into your gravity. Right? That's kind of what she did in the original, but actually I think she did this chord specifically, right? And the thing about this chord is you have D and you have G, right? G is the 11th of D major, right? And I mean, technically this is a minor chord, so we can call this D minor. But essentially, I feel like you can highlight that so much better by adding in these notes instead of playing something more thin like this. So, you know, set me free. I don't want to fall another moment into your gravity. Here I am. Right? And this chord right here adds a lot of depth. Right? And adding those extra voices in there is really how I tried to make this song my own. Okay? So that's pretty much it for the piano breakdown. Eventually, I'm going to grab all the Logic files that I have and make scores out of them using, you know, Sibelius or Finale, or I might ask somebody to do that for me. And they'll be free to download, and that way you guys can study the scores if you want to. So just keep that in mind. But that's the main thought process I had behind all of this. So I hope that really helped, and I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching.